All right, and we have Patrick Dooley with us. Mr. Dooley's been covering Florida Gators for a long, long time, and I thought, well, Florida-Alabama is happening this weekend, and no better guy to have on the show than Pat Dooley. He covers Florida Gators with WRUF now, no longer with the Gainesville Sun, and he has a podcast, Another Dooley Noted. Pat Dooley, how's it going, brother?
Good. I actually just did a story for the newsletter for the alumni that on the new women's basketball coach, who's the interim coach, and really interesting story. And I did a story for Gators Wire too. So I don't know why everybody keeps saying asking me how retirement's going. I'm not doing a very good job.
You mean you're working while you're still collecting the check though, so you're not.
Yeah, well, I'm doing things I really like doing. I'm writing stories. I get to kind of decide what I'm writing, and they're pretty good about that.
Yeah. So let's talk about the game this Saturday, Florida and Alabama. Just the first question. Alabama's number one. They're the dynasty. When can you remember the last time the energy, because it feels like the fan base, like everybody for like the last 365 days has been looking forward to this game. When can you remember the vibe and the energy around Gainesville being like this?
Well, I think 2 years ago, that Auburn game was like nothing I'd ever seen in Gainesville, with a crowd that was 10 minutes before the game till 10 minutes after kept the same level of noise up. It was amazing. I was proud of them that day. And I think, I don't know that you're going to see that for this game, because I think a lot of Gator fans are going to go into this thing with a little trepidation, because of what Alabama's done to people. I mean, what they embarrassed Miami. It turns out Miami's clearly not very good, but there is a level. I remember when Alabama came here the last time 10 years ago, which is the dumbest thing the SEC does. It was the same way. I mean, the place was going nuts. And first play of the game, Brantley to DeBose touchdown. I think it was 80 yards then. Might have been 75 yards. Yeah. Well, yeah, the place is going nuts, and then they just demolished Florida the rest of the game. That was it. That was as good as it got.
So when I interviewed you, this was a couple weeks ago. It might have been late July. I can't remember. But it was before the season, and the best position group for Florida was the running back group, because they can swap 4 or 5 guys and they can feel pretty comfortable. And the question was always, can they be able to run the ball? Because the offensive line hasn't been able to do well run blocking the last 2 seasons. And they've done well in the first 2 games, granted being Florida Atlantic and USF. Have you been surprised by how well they've been able to run the ball and how effectively they've been able to do it?
I'm not surprised because I think it was a point of emphasis. And then also, Dameon Pierce is running like a man possessed right now, which I think they were hoping for as a senior. And then when you add on the quarterback rushing numbers, that's where the numbers get really inflated, and in a good way. I mean, it's not like you don't have a plan for quarterbacks to run. I mean, I know that Anthony Richardson a couple of times has improvised and maybe not done the things he was supposed to do and ends up with a great run. Dan Mullen talked about that yesterday. But they end up with, he ends up at 160 and crazy numbers like that. Last year, for this team to get 160 rushing yards, I mean, it almost didn't happen. So they've made a commitment to the run, and they've done well in the games. You're going to do well. And will they do as well in this game? Probably not, but you would hope that at least they understand what it takes. But you're going to be blocking guys that are a little bit bigger and stronger.
Yeah, yesterday Dan Mullen talked about the 2 quarterback system. He said he's kept the offense very vanilla within the first 2 games. Right. And he hasn't used the 2 quarterback system like – I forget what was the verbiage he used? The 2 quarterback system not like he's wanted to, or it was the question Zach Alberti asked him. He basically said he hasn't used his full potential yet. But what do you think he meant by that?
Well, I think in both those games, they came up with a game plan that would win the game. And that's what their thinking is. That's your number one goal. How do we win the game? Okay, then from there – do we have to add anything to fool them and maybe get a cheap touchdown or do this and that? No, you're not going to do that for these games. You're going to save that. But, I mean, it's not like they didn't run plays that didn't work. I mean, they ran plays that worked. And obviously, there were some bad throws by Emory with the 4 picks so far in the 2 games. But So yeah, I mean, I think that's the base offense that we thought we would see this year. And there's only so much you can add to it, though. I mean, you've already got a quarterback situation where the knock on Anthony Richardson, according to Dan, is that he doesn't grasp the playbook yet and he doesn't have full command of it. And so they have to limit what he can do. So you're not going to add more on top of that this week. There might be one play, where you add a throwback, where put them both in the backfield. I don't know that if Dan said we haven't seen his two quarterbacks set yet to get in Alabama's head, or whether he's really going to pull it out. And another thing you can do is you can split out Richardson out to the left and run the ball up the middle, because they're going to have to pay attention to him. So there's all kinds of things like that are going into they've been getting ready for this game subconsciously for a long time and thinking about things that could work.
Quick question. I'll get to Anthony Richardson and Emory Jones in a second. Do you know anything other than Anthony Richardson had pulled his hamstring a little bit?
Yeah, no, I mean, pulled hamstrings can be a big problem because they're easily pulled again. Even if you do all that treatment on them, it's almost like a sensitive area. And I know people that have had that problem. So I don't know. And the other thing I question is all these people that want him to start, I don't even know how much he's going to be able to practice this week, and so a guy who already doesn't know the whole playbook, and that's fine. You're only a redshirt freshman. And then now you're going to not be able to practice. I mean, I don't know how effective he'll be in this game. I think if Gator fans, but I will say this, and I've said this before, I don't think Florida can beat Alabama without both quarterbacks. And I think they need both quarterbacks, and they both better play at a very high level. It doesn't mean that Anthony Richardson's got to rush for 160 yards, but he probably needs to rush for 80, and he needs to make good throws, and they can't make mistakes. So, and that's what both of them play.
With Emory Jones and him throwing his 4 interceptions, he's played well. I think if you just take away those 4 plays, obviously those 4 throws happened. To me, it seems like, and if you go back 2 years ago when he had to come for Kyle Trask against Auburn, even when he came in that LSU game 2 years ago when Florida only lost 42-28, he played with a confidence. Now, I don't know if that confidence was, I know I'm only going to come in for a couple of plays and I'll be in and out. But it seems like since he's been the starter for this season, his confidence has been in and out. Is that something, is that just me, or how are you seeing it?
Well, he's a low-key guy, and I think that sometimes we can misinterpret it. Lack of confidence would just be that's your personality. He's not an in-your-face kind of guy, but I think he's obviously the mistakes he's made were bad mistakes, and you can't have those in big games, whether it's Alabama or Tennessee or Kentucky or anybody else. You can get away with it in those games, but obviously. I think when they script those first couple of series, he really seems to be on. And then as you kind of get away from that, and I don't know if that's why he struggles a little bit, but I was going to ask Dan that question. I never even got a chance to ask that question the other day about that. But we'll see how he. Maybe all this has been a learning experience, but it is different to be the starter than it is to have to come into a game like he did against Auburn. He's thinking, oh, I guess it's me. I thought Kyle was done. And so he did fine. He didn't do anything special. They got a couple field goals, but he did fine. But now when you're the starter and it's like you're the guy, and you also know at any moment you can be pulled out of the game. And so, there's a lot going through his mind, I'm sure.
Moving more to the defensive side of the ball for Florida against this Alabama game comes Saturday. I think Carter, who's played exceptionally well so far, and Jeremiah Moon have to play an exceptional game in order for Florida to compete and have it a game in the single digits in the second half. Because if you let Bryce Jones do whatever he wants to do, you can just forget about it. It don't matter how many points that Florida scores on offense. Florida defensively, what do they have to do to succeed in this Alabama game Saturday?
Well, we knew that the secondary was going to be a big question, and it so far has been. They've gotten lucky sometimes, guys dropping balls, guys missing open throws. So, I just, they haven't shown me anything that, like, the offensive line showed me what I was hoping they would show, but the defensive secondary has not been able to do that. I think Avery Helm is playing like we thought he might, because he wouldn't be starting there, and um, he's very young to the program, and they got a lot of young guys back there. And that's where, when we think about the Florida-Alabama game, we think about Alabama's bigger and stronger, right? But the truth is, they have a better passing game, and that's where they're going to kill Florida. They're going to kill Florida with their passing game, and then you have to play 6 DBs, and they start running the ball on you and pick up some yardage. So Florida's going to have to play an exceptional game in the secondary. Nothing that like we've seen since 2 years ago to win this game. And I'm just not sure they're capable. The other thing I wonder about is Ventrell Miller, which I guess he got hurt. I know I saw him tap out of the game Saturday, and I guess he got hurt, and they don't know when he'll be able to practice or play. I don't know if he is today or not, but man, they need that guy in there. They need that big, strong linebacker to handle the running part of the game. If you're going to, especially if you're going to play 5 and sometimes 6.
Last question for you, Pat, and I'll let you go. Thanks for the time. You can catch Pat Dooley, his back 9 on WRUF and his podcast, No Dooley Noted podcast. What for Florida to win the game? You mentioned the secondary. That's a huge question mark. Florida has to do what?
Play from ahead. And that's what they did well, especially in Mullen's first year, and they have in a lot of games this year. I think they're a team that is designed to play from ahead, that they're not a great necessarily come from behind team. And if they get down, then it's got to creep into their heads too. Oh yeah, these guys are number 1 for a reason. They just didn't vote them number 1. They're the number 1 team in America. And then things start to, maybe you try to do things you're not supposed to do to try to make up for it. We've seen that happen in basketball. Well, I'm going to take it to the basket because we're losing by 10, and you get your shot blocked. So that's a big thing. I think Florida has to play from ahead. Get an early touchdown, and just be able to kind of always have a margin between you and them. If you can do that, then you get down to the fourth quarter and anything can happen. And that's the best way for them to win, is a fourth quarter game.
That was Patrick Dooley. Thanks for the time again. He's retirement, but still working somehow. One of the few people in America that still do that.
I get to wear T-shirts and gym shorts when I work.
You're still adjusting to the digital media era, right?
I'm actually not bad at it, but not great at it. If it's put to me simple, yeah, I can handle it.
So basically, hey, click here, unmute yourself.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I need to know. If that's all I have to do, we're in. We're good.
Pat, thanks for the time again, man, and hope to see you soon, brother.
All right, man. We'll see you.